Guys, welcome back to my Horizon Zero Dawn Master Machine Hunting series. Horizon Forbidden West will be out in just a few weeks, and I'm making these guides for everyone playing Zero Dawn for the first time. Or maybe you're like me and you're replaying the first game to get hyped for the sequel. Either way, stick around, because in this video we're tackling Stormbirds, one of my favorite machines and also one of the toughest to kill. But get ready, because I've got a strategy that will let you take them down even early in the game. Now, I know a lot of people struggle with Stormbirds, and for good reason. At 5000 HP, they have more health than any other machine in the game except for Thunderjaws and Fireclaws. Plus, Stormbirds are a flying machine, of course, which makes them way more dynamic and difficult to track compared to most machines. Of course, they also have some very strong attacks, for example, the Shock Blast that they can shoot from their lightning gun on their chest, and the Diving Thunderclash that deals both shock and melee damage. They also don't have a particular body weakness that we can exploit, so we have to find another way to chip away at that 5000 HP. Fortunately, with a couple of key weapons, we can actually handle Stormbirds pretty easily even in the early to mid game. So first off, the Stormbird's shock-based attacks are very problematic, but they're all driven by the lightning gun on its chest, so this is the first thing we want to focus on destroying. As we can see in the machine catalog, the lightning gun is weak to tear, so we can take care of this component fairly easily using a Shadow Sharpshot bow and some Tear Blast arrows. As an additional bonus, the Stormbird will come down closer to us once its lightning gun is destroyed. Now, I know that might not sound like a good thing, but it actually is, because now we can eliminate its flying ability as well. To do that, we just need a rope caster to tie it down and immobilize it, which makes it much easier to deal damage. Now, just like any machine, freezing the Stormbird will give our arrows a huge damage multiplier. We definitely want to exploit this on the Stormbird because of how much health it has, so we're going to use a sling and freeze bombs to freeze it. Now that you have it tied down and frozen, you can use your Sharpshot bow and high damage precision arrows to deal a bunch of damage, either directly to its body or to components like the wing engines. Now, you should realize that as soon as you deal any significant amount of damage, the ropes tying the Stormbird down will break. But don't worry. What you need to do at this point is keep your cool and keep hitting the Stormbird with precision arrows as long as it's still frozen. It's best to line up shots on the center of its body, because the Stormbird makes a lot of random jerky movements that are hard to track. Remember to make use of the Hunter Reflexes skill liberally. That gives you a slow-mo effect while you're jumping, which makes it a whole lot easier to aim. This is similar to the concentration skill, but there's no cooldown, so you can use it as much as you want to line up your shots more easily. You'll find if you can deal enough damage quickly, the Stormbird will get stunned and briefly crumple to the ground again. Now, the freeze effect will wear off after 30 seconds, but when it does, you want to immediately switch back to tying the Stormbird down with your rope caster. Then just repeat the process of freezing it and dealing damage. It will actually only take you 2 or 3 cycles of this to take the Stormbird out. Okay, I know that was a lot of steps and it's hard to put it all together, so let's dive into the live combat example to see it done in real time. Alright guys, so we're here just below the day tower at the first Stormbird site. I think pretty much everybody runs into this site before any others because it's on the main quest line from day tower to Meridian. So this is probably where most people are going to run into a Stormbird for the first time. So I think it's a good place to do our demo combat. And I'll just show you real quick. I'm on very hard difficulty level. And we can go over the loadout. So my outfit is the Nora Protector Medium, which is a great early to mid game all-arounder because it has some great base melee resist. And then I've thrown a basic shock resist on there just because the Stormbird has a lot of shock-based attacks. But we're actually going to disable all those really early on by getting rid of the lightning gun. So we're going to use Nora Protector Medium for the melee resist. An alternative could be the Nora Survivor Medium because it has kind of good across-the-board elemental resistance, but you'd need to put a pretty good melee resist mod on there for it to be a good all-arounder, so you could use that if you want, but I'm going to go with the Nora Protector Medium. For weapons, we've got the Shadow Sharpshot bow, so this is, even though it's a purple bow, it's actually fairly inexpensive, so I would definitely recommend you pick it up as soon as you get to the day tower, because it's great for dealing damage early and mid-game with the precision arrows, and we're going to use those precision arrows to deal damage to the Stormbird, but we're also going to use the Tear Blast arrows to blast off the lightning gun right off the bat. So let's take a look at the mods that I've put on here. So I've got a mid-level handling mod, a mid-level damage mod, and a low-level damage mod. I think that's a fairly reasonable setup to say that somebody would have by the time they get to like Day Tower or Meridian. Let's take a look at the Karja Sling. So this is what we're going to use to freeze the Stormbird with the freeze bombs. You could use the regular sling if you want. The freeze bombs are just as effective, but you only get 1 mod slot with that. And the blue one is only like marginally more expensive and you get 2 mod slots. So I would grab that, and then I put 2 basic just freeze boosts on here. And then the last thing, and this is the only thing here you can't get from the day tower, unfortunately, but I'm going to use the shadow ropecaster, the purple version. And this one shoots heavy ropes, which makes it way easier to tie down big machines like a Stormbird. You can buy the Karja blue ropecaster at the day tower, but this doesn't use heavy ropes, so it's really hard to tie down a big machine like a Stormbird with this. So I would actually recommend that you kind of just run by the first Stormbird and get to Meridian where you can buy this shadow ropecaster, and then you can deal with Stormbirds a lot easier. And on here I just have a couple of basic handling mods so we can shoot it a little bit faster. Okay, let's take a look at skills. So the only two you're really going to need are Hunter Reflexes, which gives us the slow-mo effect when we jump so we can aim better, which is going to be really handy for dealing damage with the precision arrows. And then you're going to want Concentration so you can zoom in and hit those Terror Blast arrows onto the lightning gun on the Stormbird's chest. So those are the only two you really need. It would be very helpful eventually to grab double shot and triple shots. You can deal double and triple the amount of damage. And then you could also focus on picking up Concentration Plus and Fast Reload. Those would come in handy for any big machine as well. But the only ones we're going to need here are Concentration and Hunter Reflexes. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is actually just switch over to my healing potions. It's always a good idea to do that before you get into a fight with a big machine like a Stormbird, just so you don't have to worry about it mid-fight. And then I also realized that this is probably the first time a lot of you are going to deal with Terror Blast arrows. So the deal with Terror Blast arrows is they create an explosion that can knock off components from a machine. So we're going to use them to knock off that glowing part that's on its chest. That's the lightning gun, which deals all the shock-based attacks. So we're going to run out here, and he's going to notice us right away and stop. And so I'll use Concentration and land one right on his chest. And as he comes in closer, we can land another one. And every time he pauses, we want to land one on there. Scan him again so we can see it. And it's going to take 4, and you'll know you've done it when you get that shock animation there and the blue circle. So it'll take 4 Terror Blast arrows to do that. And now that we've gotten rid of that, he's going to stay down low because he doesn't really have any ranged attacks anymore. So we can start roping him down. It's going to take 4 or 5 of these heavy ropes to do it. It'll take a whole lot more ropes if you're doing the blue Karja ropecaster. But there you go, we can see he's tied down. So now we're going to switch to freeze bombs. And he'll stay tied down for up to 90 seconds as long as you don't deal damage. So you don't need to rush here. So it'll take like 5 freeze bombs or so to get him frozen. There you can see he's totally frozen now. So I'll just scan him again so we can see him. And then I want to focus on these engines on his wings. And you can see I'm going to use the Hunter Reflexes to get the slow-mo effect. Okay, now he's breaking free, but we don't need to freak out because we can just keep hitting him. Don't need to fully draw our bow. Just kind of get a partial draw and make use of that Hunter Reflexes. And you see now that we've dealt enough damage quickly enough, we've stunned him. So we can get some nice easy shots on him. And as long as he's still frozen, you want to just keep hitting him like this. So now he's unfrozen, so we want to go back to roping him right away. So he doesn't fly up and get away from us. So there you go, you can see he's roped down again. And we'll freeze him again. And you can see we've got about half of his health gone already. One more freeze bomb. Now if you want to, you can aim for his eyes, which deal a little bit more damage, but I think it's easier to aim for these engines or just straight into his body. So you want to use that Hunter Reflexes ability to be able to line up your shots. And if you just keep dealing damage like that, he'll just keep getting stunned and coming down, and you can get free shots on him like this. And as long as you keep up the tempo of dealing damage, all of his attack animations just keep getting interrupted, so he won't really be able to do anything to you. There we go, we stunned him again. Or I guess technically the term is knockdown, and we actually killed him that time. Okay, so it goes actually pretty quick. As you guys can see, the key to this strategy is making sure that we keep the Stormbird on the ground and frozen. It's also important that we don't let up on dealing damage to it. If we do, it will quickly try to attack us, so keep the pressure on with those precision arrows. You probably noticed I wasn't fully drawing my arrows, which is also really important. Fully drawing your bow does increase the accuracy of your shot, but it doesn't increase the damage. So with a big machine like the Stormbird, it's not worth taking the time to fully draw. It's better to only partially draw so you can get arrows out faster and deal damage more quickly. Dealing a lot of damage is what triggers that stunned effect you saw, which is called knockdown. For the Stormbird specifically, you need to deal 480 damage to trigger the knockdown, which will stun it for 12 seconds. But those details aren't really worth remembering. It's more important that you keep in mind that you just need to keep dealing damage while the Stormbird's frozen, and reapply ropes and freeze it again as soon as it's not. Now as you progress through the game and get better weapons and mods, you may want to switch up your loadout a bit. For example, I prefer using a hunter bow and hardpoint arrows in place of the precision arrows. Hardpoint arrows are cheaper to craft and you can fire them faster than precision arrows, but you need some good purple damage mods to boost the damage spec on the hunter bow. You'll also eventually want to switch to using freeze arrows instead of freeze bombs. Freeze arrows cost far fewer resources to craft, plus you can use them to trigger a freeze explosion by hitting the freeze canister on the Stormbird's shoulders. Don't try using freeze arrows until you have at least a shadow warbow and some really good freeze mods though. Lower spec freeze arrows just won't cut it for the Stormbird. However, you may be able to get some purple freeze mods faster than you think. That's because, like Thunderjaws, Stormbirds are guaranteed to drop 3 purple mods every time you kill one. So use the tips you learned here to start taking down Stormbirds and get yourself some nice mods. If you want to learn how to take down Thunderjaws, I'll leave a link to my video on them in the description. Alright guys, that's my master machine hunting guide for Stormbirds. Stormbirds are a really cool machine, but they're also really tough to kill, so I hope this video helped you out. For all the Horizon pros out there, I'd be interested in hearing your favorite ways to deal with Stormbirds, so go ahead and leave me a comment about that down below. If you enjoyed this video or if you learned something, hitting that like button is always appreciated. We have just a few Zero Dawn machines left to cover before Forbidden West comes out in just a few weeks, and I'm super excited to start making a bunch of content for that. I'll definitely be continuing these machine hunting guides, but I also want to branch out and do other types of tips and tricks content as well, so make sure you're subscribed for that, and maybe let me know what types of videos you'd like to see as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.